Well, I am super excited, of course, Jorge. 12 years, who'd have thought? I actually didn't think they would do a Canadian version of Drag Race, but then, oh hey, hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, and I am just super proud, super excited, and super thrilled to review the cast of Drag Race Canada. But of course, we have business first. Jorge, drink me! Ooh, what is this? Oh, Ryan Ginger in honor of Canadian Drag Race. Oh, because I don't know about America, but Canada Dry Ginger Ale and, well, a Canadian rye. I mean, if you're going to pick one, I suggest Crown Royal. But I think we have JP Weiser's today. And delish. A little ice, a little garnish. That'll get you through any self-isolation. Or at least you'll pass out before it's over. And then who the hell cares? Seriously. And here's the thing. I am not waving this for everybody. We're all Canadians. We all know who we are. So I thought instead I would wear a little hat. I'm going to just cover up my chapeaux with that. There, now I'm ready. Canadian baseball cap. There's nothing more Canadian than that. I'm so serious. So let's get to it. The first thing I just want to say out of the gate is that I am just so thrilled that this Canadian version of Drag Race is really, really Canadian. Because as Canadians, we get a lot of bleed over. A lot of Americans that think they're Canadians and vice versa. And I was worried because the one thing about Canada, and no offense to Canadians, I mean, we really don't have a famous drag queen. I mean, there's really no equivalent to RuPaul. I mean, we don't really have a famous Canadian queen, and the most famous one now is Brooklyn Heights. So I was so thrilled and so excited to hear that she would be one of the judges. Now, here's the other thing about Drag Race Canada. There's really not going to be a host from what I've understood. From what I understand, all three of the judges will be sharing the hosting duties, which I think is much more exciting. It's a little more like Drag Race Thailand, I think, in that respect. So, who's joining Brooklyn Heights on the judges panel? Well, Jeffrey Boyer Chapman. Let's just have a moment to say, I have watched him on RuPaul's Drag Race, and I said I wouldn't wave a flag. I had no idea Jeffrey Boyer Chapman was Canadian. The whole time that he was guest judging on RuPaul's Drag Race and All Stars 4, I didn't know. So, first off, Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, I am so embarrassed by myself and so excited that you are part of the Drag Race Canada family. And you make an absolutely logical decision to be on that team because you certainly have had some experience judging queens already. I'm so serious. And the final person who's on the judging panel for Drag Race Canada, I had to sit down. I had to sit down. She is the most obvious choice. Even as a cisgendered woman, Stacy McKenzie is the biggest drag queen you will ever meet in your whole life. She is larger than life. She is delicious. I met her 100 years ago at an audition, before any of us were famous. And she was as delicious and bubbly in obscurity as she is, or has been at least, on America's Next Top Model. Because if you remember, she became the runway coach after Miss J. And this is Stacy McKenzie's story. She was just some sad little girl out in Scarborough here in Canada, in Ontario. And I think it was Scarborough. God bless me if I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't even Ontario at all. I've written a whole history for her in her mind. The point was, she was just wallowing in mediocrity here in Canada and wanted to be a supermodel. But as a very light-skinned, biracial, tall girl with big teeth, there was nothing about her in the 80s that said you should be a model. Until she went to Paris and Jean-Paul Gaultier got a look at her, and he literally made her his muse. She was famous overnight. She walked for him and other people, covers of magazines. She is absolutely the best person ever. So I am super excited to have her on the cast. So here's to you, Stacy McKenzie. I am so serious. Ooh, I'm dripping. Now, another name that's been bantied around while the buzz for Drag Race Canada has been working its way through the drag community is Tracy Melchor. Now, Tracy Melchor, she started her career, if you can believe this, as a Janet Jackson impersonator. So immediately, here's another person who has a great idea about what it is to get all done up in drag. Because celebrity impersonation, especially when you're painting your face to look like somebody else, that's it. That's it right there. But she has been working in the entertainment scene in Canada for decades. She's very important and busy. So she'll be on the show from time to time as the squirrel friend. I don't even know what that means, but I'm excited that she'll be part of the cast as well. Now, let's get to the meat of it. Seriously, we're here for the drag queens. Now, the one thing that I was super excited for when I heard all the queens was how many of them I'd never heard of. I knew all the Toronto girls, and I was excited about that, but there were quite a few I was like, who the hell is that? So I'm just going to, in no particular order, just go through them. The first queen I want to talk about, because I was so impressed and excited to hear that she was part of the cast, is Kyne. Now, I know Kyne as online Kyne. If you've never seen Kyne's YouTube channel, check it out. She is a young queen. I'm not sure how self-taught she is, but everything she learns, she shares on her YouTube channel. And I have to say, she was a huge help when I started out, especially with wigs. She had a lot of sewing tutorials that were very instrumental in helping me figure out how to do mine, which, yes, it's coming. That said, Kyne is from Kitchener. So Kitchener's like just outside of Toronto, about an hour outside. From what I understand, she's not doing weekly shows in Toronto, but she does perform at clubs. I've certainly seen, she has videos online of her performing. She's a good queen. Now, I don't predict that she will win. In fact, and this is no offense to Kyne at all, because I really respect and like her, but everything that she's doing, other queens do better. No offense, but I think because a lot of them perform more, are out in the clubs more, I think that their evolution of their drag has really helped solidify the persona that they represent on stage. And I just feel with Kyne that that's not there yet. But it's not to say that she won't do well. I don't think that she'll make top 5. I'm just going to say, I don't know how she'll do. I just think she'll be outshone by more than a couple of the queens. Sorry to say it. Seriously. One of the queens I'd never heard of before was Jimbo. Now, one of the reasons I'd never heard of her, she's from Vancouver. But also, she isn't just a drag queen. I have absolutely no idea exactly what her drag queen presence is like. Does she host a weekly show? Does she perform regularly? But she is also a clown. She's a professional clown. So it sounds to me like Jimbo does a lot of performing, but a lot of different performing. On top of all that, she designs theater sets, set deck, that kind of thing. So very creative person. And I'm assuming because of all of that art background and all of that creativity that we're going to have another Evie Oddly, Crystal Method situation on our hands, where she will blow a lot of these queens out of the water because they won't expect her to be so eclectic, and they won't. I bet the judges are going to love what she does, and that'll throw the queens too, because I think, Alaska was somebody that people dismissed out of the gate because she wore a trash bag into the runway, into the workroom. Chi-Chi, Devane as well. There are queens definitely where people, I know Evie Oddly got red for it for sure, but there are queens definitely that get dismissed, and I think that's always the first mistake. If you're on Drag Race, you've never heard of somebody and they're wearing a trash bag, watch out, because that queen's gonna beat you. She's gonna win. I'm just saying. So here's the Jimbo. Good luck to you, girl. Seriously. One of the Toronto queens that I'm not that familiar with, but I was very excited to get to know better, is Juicebox. First of all, that name. I don't know whether to barf or laugh. It's just too much. It's very funny. And she's only been doing drag for about 5 years. So it'll be interesting to see where she's at with her drag. She is very pretty. Her drag is very eclectic. She's certainly creative. As far as performancing, I didn't get to see a lot of her videos online, but I know a lot of people that know her, and her name comes up a lot. So I'm not sure if her name comes up in a good way or a bad way, but I'm expecting some good things from Juicebox. because she's a young queen, because she's only been doing drag a couple of years, I'm not expecting her to make top 5 either. No offense, but that's my prediction. Just I don't know. I think if I can't find a lot of stuff about you online, then there's usually a reason for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Seriously. For those of you who have no idea about Canada, Montreal Drag is as different as European drag, Australian drag. You couldn't have a more different drag sense in Canada than in Montreal. Everywhere else, I mean, Vancouver's a little different, the East Coast is a little different, but their influences are all the same. In Montreal, in Canada, because they speak French and they have great ties to Paris and France and then subsequently Europe, they're very, very much influenced by Europe. So a lot of fashion, a lot of comedy. It's very, very eclectic. And I've never seen a Montreal queen I didn't like. Which brings me to Kiara. Now, I, first of all, thought, why isn't that drag queen wearing any makeup? I went online and saw a lot of it say, she is a look queen. She is stunning. She's going to eat up that runway. And she is a dancer. She's a very physical dancer. Now, the one thing about Kiara that I was impressed with was her looks. So I think that if she ever has a bad challenge, her runway may keep her out of the bottom. But if she does land in the bottom, I think she may impress the judges the first time, maybe the second time. But all of her physical tricks and everything, they're not really any better than what anyone else is doing. So I think that, you know, we've all seen it before. We've seen a queen in the bottom lip sync. She has the splits. Everyone goes, ooh. And then they do it again. And the next time they're down and everyone's like, oh. So my fear with Kiara is if she lands in the bottom more than once, she'll end up going home. Do I think she'll make top 5? No, but I think she's going to scare a lot of these queens because, as I say, a very eclectic looking queen. And because of that, I don't think anyone will be able to predict her next move. That's how you want to do it. This next queen was very exciting to me because she's from East York, which is where I'm from. Now, East York in Toronto, in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, was the last borough in North America. There were no boroughs, or at least in Canada anyway, there was no, East York was the last borough. It had its own government. It had its own operation. It didn't deal with the rest of Toronto. Scarborough was a borough. It became a city. North York was a borough. It became a city. East York was the last one. So when the GTA happened, East York got absorbed. So technically from East York, and anyone from East York is very proud of that. And who am I talking about? Anastasia Anakwe. Now, I was very excited by this queen. She's been doing it 17 years. 17 years she's been doing drag. The thing I'm looking forward to see from Anastasia is just the level of drag. She, even just looking at her, the stuff that I saw online, it's very old school. It's very classic. I'm excited to see that kind of representation because I often think of that as a very American style of drag. But Anastasia does the pageant circuit, and that's what the American style of drag, I think, to me, that heightened level is the pageant circuit. So I'm expecting her to worry just a few of these queens, just saying. Another Toronto queen is my pick to win. I'm just going to say Scarlett Bobo. Mark it down. Scarlett Bobo is going to win Drag Race Canada, or I will know the reason why. Scarlett Bobo is one of those queens. I have known her forever. I mean, we're not close or anything, but she is just one of those queens. She's always eclectic, always entertaining, super fabulous as a person as well. In my opinion, I think of the cast, I think Scarlett's going to bring the most to the table. I think she's going to wow the judges. I think she's going to have a variety of looks for that runway. And she's a circus performer, so she's got that whole element of performing to bring to the table. She eats fire. She does aerial work. She is very funny and a clever sense of humor too. It's clever. It's elevated. So I can't gush enough about Scarlett Bobo. If she doesn't win, then I don't know if I could be friends with Drag Race Canada. I'm just saying. We have another West Coast queen, this time from Vancouver, BC, and it's Ilona Verley. Now, Ilona will tell you right away, she's Indigenous, but I didn't see a lot of that in her drag. I mean, I think I have no problem with somebody being proud of their heritage at all, but she makes a point of saying she's Indigenous, and yet there's nothing in her drag that I've seen so far, and I could be completely wrong, and I'm not reading her on this at all, but there's nothing about her drag that's Indigenous looking. It's very modern, it's very art. Her performance too, when you see her on stage, she is very commanding and powerful, but not a lot of dancing, not a lot of movement. So it'll be interesting. From what I could see of Ms. Verley, there wasn't a lot to really judge her by or predict how she'll do in this contest. And a lot of queens that maybe don't perform a lot or work alone, I think RuPaul's Drag Race is a horrible environment for them. So I'm not sure how well she'll do. I'd like to see her do well, but I really don't think that she'll make top 5 either. I'm just saying. Bless. A Toronto queen that I've actually met and talked to more than a couple of times is Boa, B-O-A, or Bitch on Arrival. And I love her. She is just a little doll. She's a lot of fun, lots of energy. She's been working in Toronto for years. Now, when you search her online, though, and sadly and shockingly, brace yourself, about 5 years ago, Boa was attacked. She had brought a date home and it didn't go well, and she was roughed up. It was awful. And at the time, I was working at a radio station here, and I actually interviewed her about the whole thing, and that's how I got to know her. And over the years, Boa's drag has just evolved. She's done very well. She's also very young still. So I'm not sure, I don't know how that'll factor in with her competing with these other queens. As I say, there are a couple of surprises in this cast. There's a couple of really dyed-in-the-wool performing queens, and I'm not sure where Boa will land. I'd love to see her make top 5, but if she makes it that high, I don't know if she'll go much further. I hate to say it. Sorry about it. Did I happen to mention that I love Montreal and its drag queens? I have to say, one of my favorite cities in Canada is Montreal. The second one, St. John's, Newfoundland. Don't ask me, they couldn't be more different. But Montreal, as I say, great art city, great drag city. The drag there is very eclectic and interesting. And I am absolutely so excited to get to know this next queen from Montreal, Rita Bagga. Now, I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about her. I saw one interview where somebody asked her if her name was actually meant to sound like Rita Bagga, and she's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't care. Rita Bagga has been around forever, and she is hilarious. This queen will definitely make top 3. She will be fighting for the crown. It may be down to her, Scarlett, Bobo, and Jimbo. I don't know why, but that's my prediction. Those 3 will be at the top. But I'm really excited about Rita, because not only is Rita a drag queen, but she's also a businesswoman in the drag community. She's very responsible for booking all the talent for both Montreal Prides, because they have an English one and a French one. She performs in both languages. She's hilarious. Her drag is very camp, but she's also able to put a really good look together and perform seriously. There's a lot of these great shows. If you've never been to Montreal Pride, everyone goes to Toronto Pride. I'm not saying it's not great. Montreal Pride, oh, sweet beats. First of all the boys have an accent, I'm just saying. Second of all, drag queens like Rita Bagga perform these incredibly huge shows. Go to YouTube, search her name. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. And I think you'll agree, she's going to give a lot of these queens a run for the money, I'm just saying. Another queen who's absolutely going to destroy this contest is from Toronto. Her name is Priyanka. And Priyanka literally was a star the minute she stepped on the stage. She is lovely. Now, she has a history of performing, so being on stage and in front of people is not new to her. But she's not a drag queen or even an actor per se. She hosts a children's channel. She hosts kids TV, like cartoons and stuff like that. So Priyanka is certainly somebody who's known in Toronto on one level, but as a drag queen, she's known on another level. And I don't think it's really been until recently that she's even said anything about her doing drag. But I guess she can't hide it now because she is on Drag Race Canada. And I am excited for her. She has won all sorts of awards. She is so talented, so lovely. You couldn't find a nicer drag queen. And on top of all that, very eclectic. She's got the glamour, she's got the look, but she's also, as I say, got a great sense of humor. And I predict that she'll do well. I don't predict she'll make top 3. She'll be close. She'll be top 5 for sure. And I feel like when she walks into the room, there's going to be a couple of queens going, oh, son of a gun. Do you know what I'm saying? So, here's to you, Priyanka. Prove me wrong, baby girl. Seriously. I was confused by this next queen because she's from New York City. Now, that could be where she was born, where she grew up. She moved to Toronto or Canada at a later date. I don't know. But Lemon is from New York. She's a ballet dancer and a tap dancer. So, clearly, this is a queen who will have no trouble with any kind of choreography challenges or any of that. But I don't know anything about her. I couldn't find anything about her online. It was... I mean, I didn't make a huge effort, don't get me wrong, but here's the thing. If I have to make a huge effort to find you, I'm not interested. No offense, but it shouldn't be hard. You should be able to type in a few words, maybe the name only, and a drag queen after it or something, and find a person. And so it always worries me when you don't see a lot of people online. Aiden Zane was one of those people from season 12 of Drag Race. He didn't have a lot of stuff online, so I didn't predict much from him. He went a lot further than I thought. I also thought because there was nothing of him online that he could possibly surprise everyone and win it all. Do I think that's the case with Lemon? No. And I'm not being shady or anything, but there are some huge personalities on this cast already, and I really think that Lemon will either have to just surprise the heck out of everybody or hope there's a lot of dancing challenges through the season. I'm so serious. But that said, I'm super excited to see what she brings to the runway. Seriously. And finally, and I have to say I'm a little emotional over this last queen. She's from Toronto as well, Tynomi Banks. And the reason that I'm a little emotional is I was there when she started to do drag. There used to be this restaurant in Toronto called Zelda's. It was the best place, and every year they had this huge drag contest. And Tynomi, as a boy, used to dance backup for a lot of queens, various queens. And very talented, very sexy dancer. And of course, everyone was a buzz about him as a boy. And then I worked at the time in a drag queen's shop, this little boutique thing. I did alterations and stuff. And he was one of those people that came in to start their drag journey. And I've been so impressed. Tynomi Banks is one of the most professional people you ever met, and that's because of her dance background for sure. She's also lovely and very poised and pulled together, and I think that she'll do well. I think she's one of those queens, especially with the Toronto queens, where they'll be like, oh, well, now we're going to have to try. But I don't think she'll make top 5, and I don't, again, I'm not saying, like, she can dance, don't get me wrong. If there's choreography to do, I'm sure she'll blow Lemon right the heck out of the water. But I think where the personality needs to shine out, Tynomi Banks is a little more reserved. She's a lady, and it may not translate on the Drag Race stage. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, Tynomi. Seriously, girl, because I was so excited to see you on the lineup. I'm serious. But it is a contest. And the one thing we have to remember is that this is an environment that is designed to trip people up. Everyone does well. I look great here alone. Nobody's here telling me I'm not, but if I were having to pull this together in 15 minutes and do a challenge right after, I may take a couple people down with me. I'm just saying. So I have nothing but respect where these queens are concerned, and the fact that they not only are putting their reputations on the line, but doing it so publicly. I'm really excited for this cast. I'm really excited for this franchise of Drag Race. And all I can hope is that the season is as good as I think these queens will make it, because there are some winners here. But I also would like to just have a moment to say, there were a lot of queens here that weren't here. And I was shocked by that. I mean, I know a lot of drag queens, and I'm not sure who all applied. I didn't talk to a lot of people about this as it was happening in Canada. I didn't want to know. In all seriousness, I had a little wish list or a prediction of the cast. In my mind, I just thought, here's who I would put. These are the queens that I would put in the first season. Now, I will admit, I don't know any of the East Coast or West Coast or Montreal queens really that much, so I would have been the worst person to pick anybody. But of the Toronto queens that made it through, I'm not saying any of them aren't deserving. I'm not saying any of them won't be the best possible contestant they can be. But I was surprised because there are some incredible queens in Toronto. And I'm thinking that if all goes well, they will make season 2 even bigger and brighter. I'm so serious. So there you have it. The first cast ever of Drag Race Canada, and I can't wait. Of course, we've got 2 episodes of season 12 of RuPaul's Drag Race to get through, and then we're on to Drag Race Canada. So once you've watched the first episode, you come on back and see me, and you and I'll compare notes. Now, don't forget to like my video. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you would like to support me through Patreon or Redbubble or PayPal, all the links are down below. And until next time, miss me. Mwah. Seriously, Mario. We should have a disco version of